So imagine you've been given the task of creating a dynamic filter and a subsearch as soon as possible. So dynamic filter meaning that you can quickly make some decisions and change the data that's being displayed or analyzed. So let's take a look here. This is the data, 4 fields, 2 text fields, a number field, and a field that has some codes. We'll call it data 2. Here are the requirements. Step 1, we want a way to do a subsearch, a wildcard search. So we type something in somewhere, and all we see in the data that's being pulled back are regions that have this word, the subsearch, within it somehow. Then we want to see the other 3 fields with it, all displayed in rows. So show data for all matches. Number 3, we want to list all the unique codes across the top. So we look in the data 2 field, and you see how we've got commas after there's letters, there's numbers, and there's some little symbols in there. We want to be able to take all of these, get all the unique ones, and put them across the top. So the key question to ask would be, does it need to be dynamic? If not, we have more options. And of course, the last step would be to show a 1 if the code found within data 2. So here we have the code at the top, and this would mean, let's look at this one. So there's a 1 here. That means that we found the 8 in this text over here. So it's like a grid. So the main thing here is speed. We're not looking for the perfect long-term solution, but how can we do this very quickly? So due to the requirements of getting this done as soon as possible, the first step will be to make a pivot. We'll come back here, highlight this. We're going to insert a pivot table into a new worksheet. And what we're going to do, let me just move this over here to the right. We're going to quickly check all these fields, and we're just going to take data 1. We want to put it in here. We're not going to use a pivot to aggregate, which is the normal use of a pivot. We're just going to use it to display all the data. Now, it's all put into one column. If this happens, you just go over to Options, Display, click on the classic pivot table view. Now we want to remove all the subtotals, and let me just move this out of the way. I think we've got, oh, there's one more. Okay, so what you do is you just go in here. There might be a way to remove all of them, I just can't remember at the same time. So we're not aggregating, so I'm just going to hide the data area like this. And now we want to repeat the different regions all the way down. So that's just going over to, as long as you click anywhere in the pivot, you can click Design, Report Layout, Repeat All Item Labels. All right, so now we have this, but we still have to filter this out. Let's say we only want to see Europe or Americas. How would we do that? Okay, so if it's just going to be Europe, we click in the little drop down, label filters, and we're going to say contains, and I'm going to type in Europe. So as long as it contains Europe anywhere in the region or anywhere in the field. Okay, so now we've only got 2 of them. We've got Europe and European Union. We could easily change this to be America and type that in, and we would get anything that has America from our raw data. So anywhere within the region field. Okay, so next step would be we want to filter it down to see all the unique codes across the top. So I'm just going to take this and put it right here so we know what we have to do. We have to get those unique codes from this field, data 2. So we'll go back to our data, and I'm going to just copy this and paste it. Next, highlight it. We're going to use the built-in feature text to columns, delimited, and we know it's delimited. See the difference, the separator is the comma. So we'll go next. We will click on comma, and we see in the preview pane how it's already splitting it correctly. Next, finish. So now we've got all these unique, everything's split out into columns, but really we want to get the uniqueness for all 3 of them. So I'll just quickly cut this, put it at the bottom, and of course we're going to take all of these and we're going to go to the bottom again and paste that in. Now I can use another built-in feature. We've got everything selected. Let's just make sure. I'm going to say go over to Filter, Advanced Filter, and it's guessing that we want to use it on this field, but we actually want to use this field. So I highlight it with Control, Shift, and down arrow. I'm going to say unique records only and copy to another location. I just kind of prefer that myself just to double check. I click this cell here, click the drop down, and press the OK button. So now we've got all the unique values. It's simply, there's only 11 of them. Out of all the things we see in here, there's only 11. So I'm going to copy that, go over here, right click, values, and transpose. Now there's a shortcut for that, but just to show you how to do it, make this a little bit more narrow. And now our last step, we want to search for, is the W in this cell, and put a 1 if it's there and a blank if it's not there. So we are going to use the search function. We lock the top, find text, the W within what text? Within here, F4 to lock it as required. Now we don't want to just see the value error means it's not there. So if I drag it across, so some of them have a number, but what we really care about is just a 1 if it's there, a blank if it's not there. So I would go like this: if is number the result of our search, because search just gives a number of where the code is found within the cell. So if is number, then we're going to say 1 else blank. So now it's going to be easier to read. If I drag this across, we should just see ones and blanks. Perfect. Okay, so that's what we're getting for the next step. And looking back at our requirements, that's it. We know how to filter it. We know how to show everything using the pivot. We list the unique codes across the top, and it's not dynamic, so we just use the text to columns and then advanced filter, and then a quick formula to show 1 if it's found. Now, of course, if you want to change this, let's say back to Europe or something else, we just go in here, back to contains, and now we'll just type in Europe. And this part changes. The only thing you might have to do is just go back to your formulas and drag them down a little bit further, because now the pivot, which is displaying our data, is showing more data. So now we can look back to here, and we have everything that we needed by looking at our answer here. 4 quick steps, which you could probably do in about 3 or 4 minutes.